that we have just looked at, the group of the negatives and the group of the positives, we call them directed numbers. Directed numbers. And when you think of the word directed, what comes to mind? Direction. Direction.
Order.
Directed number, order. Directed numbers, they have direction and they have size. Because you notice we said that whenever the negatives, we go further to the left. What happens to it when you go further to the right? What happens to it, you know. So it has direction, it's either going left or right, up or down. And it also has size. So the further right you go, the bigger the number, it increases. And the further left you go, it decreases. Alright? Directed numbers. Now if you notice, all of the numbers that we dealt with, all of them were whole numbers. Right? They were whole.
Yes.
No fractions, no decimals. Now the set of whole negative and positive numbers are called integers. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Integers. So if you're asked what are integers, integers are the set of negative and positive whole numbers. Alright? So most of what we'll be doing in terms of directed numbers will be concentrating on integers, the whole numbers, the set of negative and positive whole numbers. Alright, so we have that. Now, do you have any questions on the negatives and the positives? Any questions? Yes.
I was just wondering if they're like negative numbers that have like decimals.
Yes. You can have negative numbers that have decimals. Because in between, remember when we did decimals, and we said between 0 and 1, what are some of the numbers that would fall between 0 and 1? 0.05, things like that. So in the same way, remember, they're images of each other. Well, this is an image of this. So if you have 0.5 here, then you have a negative 0.5 over here. So you can have decimals, fractions, and so on. The general name directed numbers involves all of that. So the decimals, the fractions, all of those. But the whole numbers, like what we have here, they are integers. Alright? Any other questions? Yes, Ashley?
How many times with negatives?
Yes,
positives?
we can multiply, yes, we can add, we can subtract.
No, with positives.
Yes. We're getting there. Okay?
So 0.5 will be higher than what negative?
So would 0.5 be higher than negative 1?
Yes.
0.5 could be bigger than negative 1 because if you notice, it's further to the right. Okay? So remember, the further right you go, the bigger the number is. Alright? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. So we have learned about the set of positive and negative numbers. We have learned that the bigger the negative, the smaller it is. We have also learned about integers, which are these numbers, the same positive and negative numbers. We have looked at comparing them using the less than, greater than sign. Remember, the opening is always turned to the larger number. So if we have negative 8 and negative 6, which one would be larger?
Negative 6.
Negative 6, so the opening would be turned to the negative 6. And in this case, we would say that negative 8 is less than.
negative
The
6.
closed section is actually saying less than. The open section is actually saying greater than. So if you should read it come in this direction, you would say negative 8 is less than negative 6. If we read it going in the other direction, then it would be negative 6 is greater than negative 6. Okay? So that's basically it. Yes?
Okay. Just the other day, I was with my cousin and we were looking in the computer maps, right? and we found this number. It's hard to Google. It's a 1 and 100 zeros behind it, right? Do you think it would be possible for it to fit like in the number line, or not be something different?
Yes. But I mean, if you should extend the number line, yes. And also, you would have a negative number that's the same. Because remember, just as how we have the positive numbers going infinitely, we have the negative numbers also going.
Sometimes we end up with negative numbers.
Yes. You'll end up with negative numbers. For example, let's look at an example. I borrow $20 from Dejani, right? So I'm owing her $20, right? I pay her $10. What happens? I still owe her $10. So if you think of that in terms of negatives, if you have a negative 20 and you put on 10, you still have a negative 10 left.
If you put
Yeah,
on,
that's it.
you put on.
Think of
So wait, no, wait. There's a negative 20.
I borrowed 20 from her. So what happened? She doesn't have 20.
Negative 10.
She's less $20.
She has the 20.
She has the
I have it now.
Yeah, she has the
So
you
she doesn't have it anymore.
So you have the positive.
Yes.
So you have the positive.
Yes.
Save 20 and she has the negative.
Yes. Right.
She like end up with 0.
Yes. So if you have a negative 20 and a positive 20, it will be 0. Because if I owe her 20 and I pay her back the 20, how much do I owe her? Nothing. Right.
So it'd be 0.
Exactly. Alright? So we'll deal with that in another class. Today we're just looking at comparing the numbers and ordering the numbers. Remember when we order, for example, from the smallest to the largest, what are we doing? We're making sure that the negatives, remember that the higher or the bigger the negative is,
the less value.
the smaller the value. Okay? Now I have an exercise for you to do. And it's going to be on what we have done so far. Alright? Come.
Can I help?
For number 1, you're going to state whether the statements are true or false. You can write T or you can write true. It cannot be more than 1. You're using the greater than less than sign. Number 3, all you do is circle whichever one is ordering from the smallest to the largest.
in each case, so which of the integers are larger? Yeah.
We're going to exchange the papers. So wait until everybody's finished. Now some person said all they did was just to circle those ones that were true. Okay? Now 5 is greater than 3. Is 5 greater than 3?
Yes.
So that's true, right? 2 is greater than negative 1.
Yes.
Because all positive numbers are greater than the
Negative.
2 is less than 3.
Yes.
That's true. Because negative 2 is less than 3. Negative 3 is less than negative 4.
False.
That's false. Negative 3 is, remember, negative 3 will be closer to true. Number 2, you are supposed to fill in the sign. Now the opening of the sign should be turned to which number in 8? 10. Because 10 is greater than
8.
For B, the opening should be turned to what?
8.
To 8 because 8 is greater than 6. 0, and we have negative 1.
0.
Which one is larger?
0.
Because remember, the negative numbers would come after the negative, the smaller it is. Then we have negative 6 and negative 1, negative 11.
Negative 6.
Negative 6 is greater. Now in number integer, for each pair, we have 16 and we have 200. 200 would be